Welcome to another episode of the Seamus Evans Show. I have been putting this episode off for a while to talk about sobriety and addiction in particular. Why? Because I don't think I've been ready to talk about it. I don't really understand or fully know what I want to share as well. But I thought I'd record it and just share my thoughts, my journey, and everything about addiction and sobriety. So I've been sober since the 17th of January, February, March, April, May 2024. I don't know exactly how many months that is because I stopped counting the months at about 15 months. No, at about a year. To be honest, once I hit the 1 year mark, I was like, you know what? I don't want to keep counting. I don't know what it was, but I just stopped counting. I didn't want to be one of those people that said, oh, I'm X amount of days sober, I'm X amount of months or X amount of years. I didn't want to count how long I haven't drank. I just didn't. I didn't want a label, or I don't know how to explain it. This is one of the reasons why I've put off recording this episode, because there's so much to unpack. It's a really simple concept. You either drink or you don't drink. But there's a lot more psychologically to unpack. A lot more. In the initial stages, when I really wanted to stop drinking, when I really wanted to get sober, when I really wanted to give up that lifestyle, there's a lot attached to that lifestyle. There's identity, there's comfort, there's relaxation. There is so much attached to drinking, especially here in Australia. The drinking culture that's what everybody does. Everybody drinks. And society determines it as a problem when it's really extreme. But a problem can start very early on. But here in Australia, that's not considered a problem. That's considered normal. So unpacking that, someone I spoke to recently about it, well, when I say recently, right at the beginning of my sobriety journey, they said, if it's costing you more than money, it's a problem. If your consumption is costing more than the money it costs to buy, then it's a problem. And when you look at it quite black and white like that, especially something that isn't black and white, like addiction is not black and white, but looking at it through that black and white lens is actually really helpful. And I kind of weighed it up and I thought, wow, you're right. Like over the last 15 years, yes, I've lost friendships, I've lost jobs, I've lost so many things. I've woken up with serious regret. I've done and said things that don't represent who I am and my personality and my character, yet I've tainted them with the addition of alcohol in my system, in that environment, in that moment. So it absolutely has cost me so much more than the money it costs to buy the alcohol. One day I woke up and I remember thinking, how do I stop drinking? And I was like, that's a strange question. That's like asking how not to climb a tree. How do I not climb that tree? What do you mean? You just don't climb it. If it's a problem, it's a problem that I don't know how to not. And I unpacked that a little bit and went, oh, that's actually pretty dangerous. That's pretty scary that I don't know that. Okay, how do I? And I went to AA a few times. The first time I went, man, it's so embarrassing. I just cried. I just cried over and over, like, oh man, it was awkward because everyone was like looking at me and I didn't want to look at them. But that's when I knew, I'm like, oh, I should be here. Yeah, I should be here. That was really hard to do. I'm not going to lie. I didn't share. You go around a circle and you share like your situation, your story. I just couldn't do it. Then the next week, all that week, I rehearsed my 2 minutes that they give you. I rehearsed it. I went back to AA that next week. My chance to share, I shared it. Then I never went back. I've got nothing against it. I don't know. I just went, I'm just not drinking. But this is the third time I've tried it. So many years ago, I tried it. I tried to just stop drinking. It lasted about 8 months. Then about 3 years after that, I tried it again. I lasted about around 8-month mark, maybe 9 months, maybe even less, 6, 7. And at that stage, I remember thinking, the next time will be forever. And so there was a long gap between attempting sobriety because I knew the next time is real. Never drinking again. Which is a really extreme way of thinking, which understanding sobriety, that's not how you're meant to do it. You're not meant to look at it with that extreme lens of never again for the rest of my life. One, because that's so daunting. But two, if you do slip up, which is likely because you're a human being and you do have a drink, you're meant to be able to go, okay, I made one mistake, I won't drink more. But if you have this mindset of never again, well, I had that one drink, well, I may as well keep drinking. That's the dangerous part. So, and there's no need for me to get into details about my consumption because everybody's different. It's a very large scale. Compared to someone else, I'm probably a lightweight, but compared to other people, it's probably really problematic. So I'm not going to go down that angle. What I will say is for at least, I reckon 15 years from just before 18 all the way through to, a few years ago. No, almost just under 2 years ago. Big binge drinker, binging. I couldn't ever have one or two. It was either all or nothing. And so many people were like, you've got to do it in moderation. You've got to do it in moderation. Can't, bro. Tried. Doesn't work. What does work is none. And when that sank in, I was like, well, okay, what works for me? I can't do a handful. I can't do 2 to 3. No. But I can do 0. I thought, all right, well, I'll just do 0. One of the benefits to becoming sober at 34 is the party time is pretty much gone. All of my mates we've all turned 30. We've all turned 21. We've all, had the weddings and things like the first kids and all that kind of stuff. The celebrations are over. The next one's 40. By then, who cares if you drink or not? So that was a big help, I think, is the fact that all of the events in my social circles were over. Nothing big is coming up that I'm like, oh, I want to drink for that. So that helped. That helped a lot. But I think I will say, the first 3 to 6 months was very, very tough. Because it's not just the effects of alcohol that you kind of crave or miss, but it is that pacifier. It is a lifeline. It is a crutch. It is something you look forward to, that you seek, because it's a habit. Whether it's a problem or not, it doesn't matter. It's a habit. You just go to it. Oh, it's a Friday night. Let's get a couple of bottles of wine. Like, it's just a normal thing. And when you remove that, you're like, well, what else am I meant to do? So I did get anxiety. I did overeat. Did overindulge in nicotine. And lots of sugar, because I needed to replace that habit, that natural crutch that I had been like, oh, well, what else? What else is there? Lots of soft drink. Like, I just put on a bit of weight, obviously, because I was trying to replace it. And in my mind, I was like, well, it's not drinking, so I can have heaps of soft drink. I can have heaps of ice cream. I can have heaps of lollies. I can keep having the nicotine because it's not drinking. And there was a lot of anxiety because I didn't know what to do. It's like boredom. You know that at the moment there's like this about raw dogging. And that's not listening to any music, not having your AirPods or having technology on long flights or train rides or bus rides, or you're raw dogging the travel by not having entertainment in front of you. There was that element of like, well, I'm raw dogging Friday nights. I'm raw dogging Saturday nights. What am I doing? I'm up early on a Sunday. What? And there was an anxiety around it because I didn't know what to do. I felt lost. And I was craving that high. I was craving that rush. I was craving that wanting to just get out of my mind. And I used to battle with that because obviously society's like, oh, that's horrible. You want to get off your face. That's wrong. That's horrible. Then I've done I remember researching as human cultures and societies over hundreds of years. Since the dawn of time, human beings have been getting high. Human beings have been getting off their face, whether it's alcohol, whether it's a drug, whether it's a leaf, whatever it is. Tribes all over the world have things that they use to get high. It's been happening forever. So it must be a part of being a human being. It must be, because human beings have been doing it forever. So battling that understanding of like, well, it's a natural thing. It's a normal thing for a human being to desire and do, to get off your face and out of your mind. So it's normal. It's okay. The thing that was really detrimental and the catalyst to my desire for sobriety was the mental health aspect, the depression that came with being off my face because I would go too hard and I would drink too much. Whatever goes up must come down. So my hangovers were really bad. Like, I had so many doctors over the years tell me, you need to stop drinking. Your liver is really bad. But I didn't listen to them because I was playing this negotiation in my head of like, it's normal. It's an okay thing to do versus, bro, this is unhealthy. Like, you're literally damaging yourself. Could be very problematic. See, it cost me more than money. It was costing me my health. I had really high levels of something in my liver. I don't know what they were, but they were high levels, really high. Like, when I was 24, I probably had the liver of a 40-year-old. Thankfully, livers can they can regenerate and they can heal themselves and get better. They're pretty resilient, these things. So I was able to get it down. And I just went for a blood test recently to get it checked as well. So how's my sobriety journey been so far? Really good. My mental health is 10 times better. I feel incredible. I feel normal. I feel full of energy all the time. I very rarely get the lows, the slumps, the downs. I have replaced that addiction with training, exercising, with jiu-jitsu, which is just a normal thing. If you're addicted, if you're an addict, which I definitely fall into that category, you're obsessive and your behavior becomes obsessive behavior and compulsive, and you must do things. So I've become addicted to jiu-jitsu and exercising. I train. I go to the gym every 5 days a week, and then I train jiu-jitsu 5 days a week. That's my aim. That's always my aim. Sometimes I fall short, so be it. But that's what I strive for every time. Once I hit the year mark, it felt like the marathon was over. Because I had beaten my previous 2 records, I had gone further and been sober for longer than ever before. I really felt like I passed a finish line. And I always said, I'm not going to do it forever. I just want to get to a year and see what happens. Then when I hit the 12-month mark, I remember thinking, man, I really don't want that feeling of day one again. I don't want to wake up hungover and have that shame, that guilt of, oh, what have I done? I just undid all that work. Not only that, something else had happened over that year. My arm got strong. By that, I mean, you know how there's a saying called having a rubbery arm. If you're hanging out with mates and they're like, hey, mate, just have one drink, your ability to say no is really weak. You're likely to cave. You have a weak, rubbery arm. Twist my arm, why don't you? Because it's only new. You're only fresh at saying no. You haven't exercised that ability to be mentally strong enough to say no and have that head strength. But over the time, I had exercised that muscle that my arm got really strong. Initially, I didn't go to parties. I didn't go socializing. I just didn't do it because I knew I had a weak arm. So I stayed away. I avoided it. And I just kind of developed the head strength necessary to say no later. Then, once I became headstrong, I actually got a bit of anxiety around the whole idea of drinking and the idea of a hangover, and just knowing that guilt I'm going to feel is not worth the next 6 hours. That's not to say I don't miss it. I do miss it. I do miss socializing, having a nice glass of wine, a handful of glasses of wine, getting that head spin, social lubrication and having a fun time. Yes, I do miss that sometimes. Not all the time. It's actually, what happens is it gets more rare and rare that you miss it. That's what I've found. So once that year mark happened and I hit that checkpoint, I stopped counting. And I just went, oh, well, that's just me now. That's just who I am. I just don't drink. It has still taken a little while for some friendship circles to kind of remember or appreciate or acknowledge. Not to say that they're having a go at me, because that's not the case at all. I did not find that. No one, once I said, oh, I've stopped drinking, no one peer pressured me. No one. In fact, all I got were applauses and pats on the back and congratulations and a few people saying that they wish they could. Yeah, I didn't get anybody, which is so weird because when you want to give up, one of the things that is in your mind is everyone's going to hate me. I'm letting everybody down if I go sober. If I stop drinking, everyone's going to not like me. It's the weirdest thing. This is what I mean. It is so complex to unpack. It is so complicated. This whole addiction drinking thing is full on. And it's still, I'm like, almost 2 years into it, and I still haven't unpacked it properly. This has been the hesitation of recording this episode, and I will probably touch on this and record a few episodes on it as time goes on, as I continue to unpack it. Your mind tells you that everyone is going to hate you if you stop drinking. Then when you stop drinking, you have this huge embarrassment, this shame, this anxiety, and this fear because you've taken away an identity. This is who you've been for so long. You're the life of the party. You're the fun one. Everyone knows you're going to drink. You're going to turn up with the bottle of alcohol, whatever it is. It's an expectation. You feel like you're letting everyone down. But I didn't notice that. That didn't happen for me. I didn't let anyone down. One of the things when I decided not to drink, I didn't shout it from the rooftops. The first few times I attempted sobriety, I did do that. I kind of wanted to be kept accountable by making it public, but that didn't work. It was actually secretive. I was actually quite secretive about it. Not on purpose. I didn't want to shout it from the rooftops in case I did slip up. In case I did make a mistake, in case I did decide to drink or whatever, I didn't want that shame, that fall from grace. I just wanted to secretly get through the first 3 months. So then when I told people, it wasn't a new thing. It wasn't, I've decided to stop drinking. When was your last drink? A week ago. Yeah, right, mate. We've all been there. Whatever. Start next week. Have a drink. I wanted to avoid that. So I secretly did it for 3 months and I didn't tell anyone. So when people did ask, they say, oh, how long have you not been drinking? 3 months. It's actually already an achievement. It's already momentum. It's already more than some people. So that instantly was like, oh, wow. Rather than there's this, how there's a success law and rule a lot of successful people talk about. And they say, don't share your goals. Don't share your intentions. Don't share what you're up to. There's a few reasons for that. One, you get a pat on the back before even having done it. So if I say, I want to give up drinking. Yeah, good work, mate. I don't need to give up drinking because I just got the pat on the back. I feel great about saying it. Just like, I want to run a marathon. Yeah, good on you, bro. I've always wanted to do that. You don't actually have you lose the effort to do the training because you've already gotten the pat on the back before even running the race. And so I wanted to have that mentality of, when I announce that I don't drink anymore, I want already to be some momentum behind it, already an achievement. So that will, one, avoid people going, well, you've only just started. Why don't you start next week? Come on, mate. It's my birthday. Because if it's 3 months, oh, geez, you haven't drunk for 3 months? Yeah, mate, don't drink today. Geez, what an achievement. And that was a really interesting trick. And I think the connection between ADHD, being neurodiverse, and addiction is huge, man. Really, really big. Especially how impulsive, having that impulsion symptom of not really thinking but just acting, which can be a real superpower in some instances because you can take risks, but it can also be your downfall. And so making these large claims, I'm never drinking again, that's so impulsive and doesn't actually work. When you set these goals that are so high, so far out of your capability, they seem daunting, impossible, therefore you don't continue them. It's much easier to walk 100 meters than it is to climb a mountain. So you may as well start with 100 meters. And then at the next 100, you go, well, let's go a kilometer. And then let's go a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And then before you know it, you've climbed half a mountain. So that was my mentality to sobriety this time, rather than planning, hey, I'm going to have one big night and then that's it, man. I'm never drinking again. I haven't got a final thought. I haven't got an answer. I haven't even got an ending to sobriety and the journey and the lessons and the why. And I haven't properly unpacked it. So I just don't know. I will say, is it better? Yes. In fact, if I could go back to when I was 18 or even 17, I wouldn't drink. I would go sober from the very beginning. I would. Yes, I would miss out on a lot of bonding moments. I would miss out on a lot of times with really close friends that are memorable and they last a lifetime and they really bring you closer. But I wonder what I would have put effort into instead. So I've become full-blown addicted to jiu-jitsu. My business has gotten better. I've made more money. I've been 10 times happier. My output has increased way more in terms of productivity since not drinking. So I wonder where I would be now if I never drank in the first place. So if I were to go back in that hypothetical hindsight world, I never would have drunk. It's like that butterfly effect or those time travel movies where you go back and whisper something into your own ear when you were 20 years younger. I'd say, hey, trust me, I've been down this path. It's a dead end. There's nothing there. Sure, there are some fun times, but there's no actual end. There's no answer at the end of the bottle. You don't get anything. Trust me, it's going to cost you more than cash. Don't even start. I would. And I wonder who my friends would be. Very interesting to ponder, and I'll never have an answer. So listen, if you are contemplating sobriety, if you feel like you're drinking too much, if you are sober, I would love to hear from you in the comments about your journey. If you have learnt anything, I don't want to hear about how many days or years because, I don't know, I'm of the school of don't count. Because counting is almost like you are still that person. You just have been without for a long time. Whereas I feel you can change. I feel you can undo that person. I feel you can not be that person anymore. But if you're counting, you're just counting the times between drinks instead of just not drinking anymore. Tony Robbins said that on a Theo Von interview once. He was like, why do you count how long it's been since you've stopped smoking? Why don't you just not be a smoker? Because it's an identity shift. One of the biggest things I remember reading in that book, this one, Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up, it said people are attached to their identity. So that's why they never finish writing the book, because their identity is I'm writing a book instead of I've written a book, because once it gets published, then they've got a new identity then. It's the same thing why people don't finish things, why they talk about it for years. Like coming up, I've got an interview with someone who they were making a movie for 10 years. I wonder why it took them that long. I'll ask, because were they sitting in this identity crisis of I'm making a movie, getting the pats on the back, spending their time talking about it. But if they actually made the movie, I don't know, what was the identity shift? That'd be very interesting to understand. So that's why I don't count how long it's been since my last drink, because I don't identify as someone who drinks anymore. It's not like, yeah, I drink, mate, I just haven't had one. Because there's always that bloody 5 o'clock somewhere, mate. You know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. My last bloody drink was last weekend. So I don't like counting. I don't like saying the words. I just don't drink. Done. That works for me. Might not work for you, might work for you, who knows? I want to know in the comments. Make sure you write it down. Let me hear from you. Boop, 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 boop. Thanks for listening.